Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the 8-Bit Adventures podcast. We're here to bring you the latest and greatest geeky news of this past week, what the longest week it was. I am your host, Sean Hayes, and with me is my wonderful co-host, as always, Courtney Bolin.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah, so we've got a whole bunch of pop culture news and a little bit of gaming news this week, but mostly pop culture and some interesting sort of stuff. And then we may just end up talking about Monster Hunter during our deep dive. We don't really have a formal topic for the deep dive this week, so it might just be if we want to talk about, I don't know, something that comes up while we're discussing quickfire news or whatever. Who knows? It's a wild card, a grab bag, potpourri, if you will.
Wow.
Potpourri.
Wow.
But first, before we start anything, since today is today's day of transvisibility, right?
Yes, I'm
Yes.
pretty sure.
So
Yes.
I just want to remind everybody that this space here at 8-Bit Adventures, we try to be an inclusive space, so trans rights are human rights. So I just wanted to reiterate that. Not that we really have anybody in the community, a very small community currently, that doesn't agree with that. But, just in case this podcast reaches out into the ether and meets some people that aren't part of our little local community here, I just want to reiterate that. So, and if you happen to disagree, there are plenty of other content creators out there on Twitch and in the internet at large for you to consume their work. So,
yes.
Okay. So yeah, and for any of trans folks that might be part of our community, just want to reiterate that you are welcome here, and that you are loved. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Uh,
We love you very much.
just take it easy on them stocks. All right. That's not calling out somebody without calling out somebody. All right. Just take it easy on them stonks. Okay. Right. So.
I don't know. The world has lost all meaning to me.
Yep. So.
And
Okay.
that's not because of anything else. That is just my life right now.
So yeah. All right. That said, now that we've gotten that very important message out of the way, why don't we get into quickfire news? I had to find the right button for the bumper. All right, so first up, Courtney, why don't you start it off this time?
Yeah, so there will be a new Star Wars series being released on Disney Plus called The Bad Batch. And that will be starting to release on May 8th. So that's, yes, tomorrow is April. It's not that far away.
Yes. This is from the same studio that did Clone Wars, so it's going to be that same art
Nice.
style.
Oh, that'll be nice.
Yeah. And just we may have alluded to it before, just in listing like all of the different properties. But the Bad Batch, so there's been a couple trailers. It's kind of basically like Suicide Squad, but with clone troopers.
I am very interested in that.
It's a little bit like that. Or like the A-Team. Like a bad version of the A-Team with clone troopers. So. All right, next up. Steamforged, you know them. They do a whole bunch of like higher quality, very tactical board games with very expensive miniatures. They also did the Vox Machina and Mighty Nine miniatures for the Critical Role team. For that Kickstarter that took way too long. They're doing a Monster Hunter World board game whose Kickstarter is going live on April 20th. Folks who remember dates from last episode will also note that's the same day that Ouroboros is going live on Kickstarter. Very expensive, but lots of big monster minis. So yeah, kind of the same style of their can't remember if it's Dark Souls or Demon Souls or Bloodborne game where sort of like Sentinels, you have instructions for doing monster attacks and stuff. So it has like an AI deck in
Hey,
that you play the cards from the AI deck and that tells you what the monster's going to do, and you pick your hunter and you go out on hunts and do things. Um, but the main thing is that there's big minis involved in that. So that goes live on April 20th.
nice. Very nice. Yeah, that will be good. Um, yeah, so Thor Love and Thunder, which is slated to come out May of 2022. This already star-studded cast has added Russell Crowe to the lineup. We don't have any other information other than he is in the cast.
I think
Um,
this was reported on. It was either Comic Book Report or Hollywood Reporter or something reported
mhm.
that he's been added.
It is also on the official IMDb as well.
Cool.
Yep,
Uh,
but it just does not say whom he will be playing.
not as of yet. No.
Not as of yet.
Um,
No.
but yeah, we did not list the full. So when we say star studded, it
I
really
mean,
means there are
let's
too many to list for the purposes of this
yeah.
segment.
I mean, I'm just happy that Tessa Thompson is playing Valkyrie again and we will see her. Um because I love Tessa as Valkyrie and so I'm very excited to
Yeah.
see that. Like she
Um,
is such an awesome kick
yeah.
butt
Maybe
girl
we'll talk about
and
this in our deep dive a little bit, and just all the people that are slated to be in the film. Uh,
yes.
all right. So next up, Adam Wingard, who's directing Godzilla versus Kong, which comes out pretty soon if it's not out already. Uh, is has been slated to helm a ThunderCats movie for Warner Brothers.
Hmm.
So yeah, that'll be a thing.
Also, Godzilla versus Kong is out.
Yeah.
It launched and released on March 25th.
Oh,
So
okay.
just last week.
Cool.
Just last week.
All right.
It just started.
Um,
Hmm.
I don't currently have stats for how that movie's doing. I would imagine it's doing about as well as other giant monster films that let's be honest, we don't care what the plot is.
No, we
It's
go
the
to
point of the
watch
film
the
is to
battle.
watch Godzilla and King Kong fight.
Hmm.
So, all right.
And people who enjoy those movies go out and enjoy them, or stay home and safely enjoy them.
Yeah, because
However
you don't
you
have to
are
pay
able to do.
extra. Oop,
Yeah.
sorry, I blew the mic
But,
out for a little bit, and I'm not sure how. I'll take the next one, Courtney.
okay.
So there's an update coming to the Nintendo Switch version of Fortnite that is specifically meant to address resolution and performance. So users, it will the resolution will increase a little bit to get it a bit closer to 720p on handheld mode and 1080p on docked mode. Um, so I find that a little interesting that it's not currently running at those resolutions. Because it's not exactly a very demanding art style, but
Yeah.
it must be because of all the physics involved in the game and everything. Um,
Physics,
yeah,
physics,
the
physics,
performance will
physics.
be to smooth out frame rates and bump frame rates up a little bit, as well as save about 140 megabytes of data. Uh,
Oh, nice.
yeah, so
That's pretty
um,
nice.
I know, for example, my brother-in-law will be quite pleased to hear that as he plays Fortnite on the Switch.
Mm,
So yeah.
nice. And our last bit of quickfire news, just the list of the PlayStation Network Plus games that are coming out for April of 2021. So these will be available um, for download from Tuesday, April 6th through Monday, May 3rd. So you guys will be able to have access to Oddworld Soulstorm, Days Gone, and Zombie Army 4 Death at All the War. Um, so, for any of our wonderful listeners out there who have a PlayStation, who have the PlayStation Network Plus, and would like to be able to try those games out if you haven't already. Next week is your time to start to be able to do that.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. So that's going to wrap up our quick fire news for this week. So why don't we go right into our deep dive and talk about some Thor: Love and Thunder. All right. So the most important bit of news that we have for this movie is that Taika Waititi is returning as Korg.
Yes.
Uh, Perhaps the most interesting part is that Sif is returning. Like the last time
Yes.
we really saw Sif was in Agents of Shield, and then she's just been MIA this whole time.
So maybe we get to figure out where she's been.
Yeah. Also, apparently, the Guardians cast is going to be in the film.
Yes, that was what I was
So,
interested
and
in.
that's what I
I'm
mean by
like,
like, it's just going to be chock full of like, you're going to have the Guardians cast. You're basically going to have the Thor cast.
I think it's interesting how so we get, yeah, we get the Thor cast, but we also get like actor Hela, actor Loki, actor Odin, and actor Thor.
Oh yes,
Like
they're also returning. So that
with
little
Melissa
troop.
McCarthy, yeah, with Melissa McCarthy, Matt Damon, Sam Neill, and Luke Helmsworth.
Yep.
Um, which I was just like, okay, that's fun. Like we're gonna be getting, yeah, and then Nebula's coming in, and Natalie Portman is coming back as Jane Foster and Mighty Thor. Uh, we get
We're
Chris.
also getting Christian Bale,
Yeah.
who may or may not. He's playing a villain. We don't know if he's
Yes.
going to be the villain.
So we're not sure if Gore the God Butcher is the villain because that is what his
Yeah, unclear.
wow. See, I thought that that was like
Like
pretty
I
easily
mean, it could be
like
like he could be the main villain, but it also could be like a Civil War thing where they had whatever his name was, who was like right at the beginning of the film,
mhm.
who everybody was like, oh man, like we're finally gonna see this guy in action. Then he like dies like 5 minutes into the film. Um,
See, I
or
still
was
have
it
not
Civil?
seen.
I can't remember if it was Civil War, if it was Ultron. It might have been Ultron.
It's funny because neither of those are two of the ones that I have not seen. Um,
Okay.
I recognize that
Honestly, you can.
I
So
have
Civil
some.
War is pretty good. Ultron,
Yeah,
you can skip it.
that's kind of what Joe
Which
said too. It's like
it
it's
sucks to
good,
say
if you
because
want to
like
watch it, but yeah,
Ultron was pivotal for like basically laying the groundwork for eventually WandaVision. And
yeah,
because it's the creation of Vision, it's basically what leads this split. It's what causes Civil War, and it
yeah.
leads this split between this rift between Steve and Tony,
Mhm.
uh, and it sort of gets into Wanda's origin story. At the end of the day, it's
Well,
one of
let's
the
put it this
weaker
way. At the end of
films.
the day, I still understood what was going on
Yeah,
in Endgame and in Infinity War. Like I still understood everything that was going on, but that also might be just because I know enough of lore um through Marvel, even though I was raised on DC. Um like I still know enough to be able to fill in those gaps,
yeah,
which I have to say is something that I very much have enjoyed and very much appreciated about all of the MCU movies. Um is you can, if you didn't get to watching one, there are some things that are extremely pivotal that you have to have seen a previous movie to get. But like I understood even in the time travel stuff, like what Cap was doing and the things, and that might be because I also live on the internet. And so I see all of the memes and I see um all of the different posts about these different things that have happened in these Marvel movies. Um but the fact that I'm still able to follow along, um with having missed a few of these big MCU movies, actually is I very much enjoy it because I don't have the money or the time. I mean, I have the patience, but I just don't physically have the time to be able to always go and see the movies when they're in theaters.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry, I'm
especially
just
these
looking up
days.
the um cast list on IMDb.
Mhm.
Um since our friend Josh is in the chat. It's saying
Yeah.
Patrick Bateman, but I'm not seeing him on the cast list. So yeah.
I'm not seeing him either
But
yet.
I'm also no, I am seeing Odin actor from Thor and stuff. So yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's also it could be not updated.
Yeah, I was gonna say we just got Russell Crowe, so there may be some others that we still haven't had added to those
Yeah.
lists yet. So, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on. Um, I know that this is like starting the second wave of the everything MCU. um, so I'm
Oh.
excited to kind of see what's
That's because shame,
what.
shame. Patrick Bateman's a character in American Psycho. Christian Bale played
Oh
Patrick
goodness,
Bateman.
there we go. Yep. Josh, you can't be being smart like that. You know I have the dumb right now.
First of all, sir, how dare you? All right. So anyway, all right. Now that we went off on that wild tangent, uh,
Axes are not used in that manner in the MCU, my man.
but they totally are. That's
Not
literally the whole
with
point of Stormbreaker.
not with the plastic raincoat and the plastic down on on the floors and everything. They don't care where the blood goes in those with that.
I don't know. But yeah. So I'll be excited for that one. Because it's going to be another Taika Waititi directed, written
Mhm.
piece.
Mhm.
So um, yeah. And I'm still very curious as to how they convinced Natalie Portman to come back.
That's my thing cuz
So
I
I
was
don't know
like,
if it was just because of all of the shifts in what Marvel's been doing since
mhm.
Thor: The Dark World. Um,
I mean, to be fair, a lot has happened since then,
yeah, and
you
the
know.
fact that it's like not the same set of directors and writers. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah,
I,
because
I'm
I
just
recall she was very famously like not interested in doing superhero stuff anymore after those films. Um,
I don't remember why, but yes.
I mean, for one thing, I don't know if they necessarily like. I would not consider them in like the top tiers of Marvel movies. Like they're fine, but they're not exactly like widely touted as like really awesome.
They're not Ragnarok.
They are not Ragnarok, no. But also like not of the caliber that like Winter Soldier is regarded as.
Mhm.
Um, or Iron Man 1. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm super excited. I mean, you know, Marvel's basically going to pay out through the nose for this film. Uh
Oh, yeah, all of these actors
oh yeah.
and let's see how many different franchises have they put them in? But this is like the third four how
Well,
many
now, so
Thor.
for example, it's even though it's the same characters because technically they're different franchises,
Yes, that's what I'm
Marvel's
wondering because this is another Thor movie.
yeah.
So I'm wondering
So this will
what
be the
the
fourth Thor movie. So uh I think the
Homesworth.
only one that's been in I think the only character that's been in all four He is Thor.
In which case, he's gonna be getting paid through the nose.
Yes, well, and it's
Because
being
Screen
paid an
Actor
additional
Guild
fee for quote unquote
typecasting.
typecasting. Yeah.
Yep.
Because
Yeah,
for
no, it's
example,
not it's yeah, because
the
that's
the
why they changed stuff with Iron Man too, for Robert Downey Jr.
yeah. Um, even if you look at it that way, he's been in more than 4 films for like multiple franchises. So,
Yeah.
um, but for example, so the Guardians cast. This is not a Guardians film, so it wouldn't
Mhm.
necessarily count. Um, and then you know, Korg. This will only have been the second Thor franchise film
Mhm.
because the other ones were Avengers.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
Sif will
Same
be the
same
third one.
same with Valkyrie. This is gonna be her second Thor
Second
movie.
Thor one, yeah.
Yep. Um, yeah,
And
man, those
third for Jane Foster.
yeah, you think of those Screen Actor Guild, contracts and the specifics of
I feel
those.
like though, if you're playing the same character and you're able to say like, oh well, I mean, it's the same character, but it's in a different franchise. Like that's kind of sidestepping the things a little bit. Um,
Yeah. Now
but
it
I
actually makes me
also
wonder, like, about, all those Harry Potter films.
that definitely gets into some interesting
Yeah, when you
stuff.
have 8 movies.
Um, Also because I don't know if they were filmed. I mean, it was Warner Brothers.
Yep,
So the other
and it
question
makes
then
you wonder,
becomes,
is the Screen Actors Guild an international thing, or is
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yep,
If for example, if it was actually filmed over in Britain and it was like a British studio and it was just
yeah.
funded by Warner Brothers, like do those laws apply? Um,
Mhm.
then it's also the case of them starting out as child actors, which I'm sure
Yeah,
adds another element to it because now, like, because they started so young and that was like their first big role. Like, uh, and we've seen it now. Like,
mhm.
um, it's Rupert. I don't know his
Rupert
last name.
Grint.
Right. Like, I don't know if like I haven't heard of him being in anything,
No, no,
and
no.
like I don't.
Rupert Grint is doing the best thing with his life right now. He is, and I know this, he got an ice cream truck, and he's just living his best life and going around and giving out ice cream for free because he can't sell it without getting like permits and stuff, but he can totally just drive around and give out ice cream like during
So
the
that's
summer.
cool. That's also that doesn't make me feel very good if like you can just that easily bypass like local guidelines on like food service and stuff.
I also think that it's, he's a multimillionaire, and
Right.
like he's going about it the right way.
I mean, yeah.
Um,
I feel like
he
maybe it wouldn't actually take all that much effort to get certified for
and
like a
that's
food
also
license.
in Britain.
Yeah,
Like
but
that's the
but
other
anyway,
thing
like
of
yeah,
kudos.
good. I mean,
But
that's
I
one
mean,
way
I'm
if you've
just like,
got
he's just
oodles
living
of
his
free
best
time and
life
money.
with that, and I'm like, yes. And then everything that Emma Watson's doing, she
Yes,
went to college and is now a goodwill ambassador for the UN, um, and doing all of that stuff, and
Daniel
like
Radcliffe
both
is
of
just
them,
he's just done a whole bunch of really weird films.
he's just doing whatever he wants. I will say, I think it was Horns or
Yeah,
something. That was really good.
yeah. It's also the
Like,
weirdest one.
it's definitely fun and weird, but it's one of those things of like, you know what? I don't blame him though. He's doing what he wants now. Yeah, live off of that Harry Potter money forever.
I mean,
Like,
well, and what's funny is like if you're a fan of D&D, I mean, basically the subtitle of that film is Horns, a story about tieflings. Uh
mhm.
I keep blowing out the microphone, so
Oh,
I wonder if I need
hmm,
to reduce things a little bit back down.
hmm.
Okay, so but yeah, but the point is like because they started so early with Harry Potter, like that's always going to be what they're known for and like a shadow over like
It's
everything else they do in the future.
it's kind of like Macaulay Culkin. and or any of these huge child stars who did
Uh,
a lot of singular kind of series.
I would say, sort of
Yeah.
like Macaulay Culkin, if there were 7 Home Alone movies and he was in all of them.
Yes.
There were only,
Yeah.
as far as we know, there were only 3, and he was only in 2 of them.
Yeah.
But still, like outside of what was it? What was his band's name? Velvet Violet Underground or something, and it was about like pizza. They did songs about
Velvet
pizza,
Underground, I think. Yeah.
something like that.
That sounds right if that's the right, band and everything.
It was like
Like
some
that
weird punk
name.
band that wrote songs about pizza.
Eh.
I remember that much. But yeah, uh,
Yeah, it gets interesting when you start thinking about like just all of these different, all of these different rules that uh both actors and directors and producers and all of that with the protections of the guilds and
yeah,
um and it's they're there for a reason because while Emma Watson went off and did what she wants to do and Rupert Grint living his best life. I'm just so like it makes me so
yeah.
happy to think
But
that he's
to
just
pull it back
going,
to the MCU thing though, is
yeah, you have all
I
these
think it's a
actors.
little disingenuous.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, I'm glad that they're able to keep the continuity with the same actors and everything, and really build on that. Um,
But saying, "Oh, this is a different
but saying,
franchise."
"Oh well, he's playing," say Robert Downey Jr. Oh, I mean, he's playing Tony Stark, but this isn't the Iron Man franchise. I mean, he's playing Iron Man, but he's not in the Iron Man franchise now. He's in the Avengers franchise, and it's like he's playing the same
Or the
character,
Spider-Man franchise.
or the Spider-Man franchise,
Mhm.
or Civil War, which was technically the Captain America franchise.
Yep.
Uh,
Yeah,
it would be
it's
like
it's
saying, "Oh well, Sean Connery, he's playing James Bond, but this isn't the James Bond franchise. This is something else, but
mhm.
he's still playing 007." And it's like,
Yeah, or Christopher Reeve in all of those, although I don't think he did anything other than
well,
Superman because
to
they
bring it
weren't
that
doing
point,
crossovers.
it would be like
They weren't.
if Warner Brothers had actually done a Justice League franchise back in the 80s and said, "Oh well, yeah, we have Christopher Reeve. Uh, I mean, he's gonna play Superman, but this isn't a Superman movie. It's a Justice
No,
League
this is a
movie
Batman movie or a
or
Justice League
something like
movie
that."
or
Yeah,
yeah,
it seems
yeah,
a little disingenuous. Um, to do that when it's all clearly part of the same franchise. Uh,
yeah,
you know,
yeah. It's like when you call it all parts of the MCU, and
yeah.
then you break it up and break it down. It is a little bit.
Now,
I don't want to
I will
say,
say
yeah.
maybe that has changed since they were first talking about it, right? When
Hmm.
kind of the MCU
And there
was
might,
really getting into full steam.
and to be fair, also there might be other things within their contracts that aren't just SAG rules with it. Like they might be getting certain things because of that's their contract
Yeah,
with MCU to say, well, no, I'm playing this character again. And so we're doing this increase this time. And then we go by the SAG rules for
yeah.
like ones that are, like let's take Thor, again. Like he's still probably could have had it in his contracts that yes, I'm still playing the same character. We're not going to go by the SAG increase rules, but we are still doing it in that way.
I mean, Marvel could just be saying like that they're just going to throw even more money so that it doesn't even become an issue, right? I
Yeah,
think
I was
that's
gonna
what you're
say
getting at. Yeah.
yeah, that's basically yeah, and it's one of those. Personally, once you hit a certain number of amount of money, it's just numbers. It's just money. Like
Oh, yeah, and when we get into the amount of money that many of them are making, it becomes like imaginary money because like it exists, but humans can't really comprehend numbers that
Mhm.
large. as
Yeah.
like physical entities.
Yeah.
So
It's funny. This is the second time in a week that I've had conversations about large amounts of money.
yeah,
Because earlier this week I was talking with coworkers about, well, what if you win the Mega Millions?
yeah,
Words. Yeah.
yeah.
But
Um, so
but
yeah,
I'm happy
I
I'm
also
happy
though
to
I don't know if the typecasting thing is as problematic for like I feel like that was designed to help actors who were getting stuck in roles that like that basically wouldn't lead to other roles. You know, like if
Yeah.
somebody, like you if somebody was in like if was playing like the same character in a bunch of like horror movies that were kind of like
Yeah.
lower budget, like I could see that helping out because typically that doesn't lead to further opportunities from out of that. Uh
Yeah.
whereas like, I mean if you're playing like Captain America or
Yeah.
Luke Skywalker in a
Yeah.
whole series of films. That's going to get you enough visibility, and if you show that you have the acting range, that's going to open up doors for you, as
Yeah.
opposed to, well, everybody's just
Closing
going to
other
think
doors.
like everybody's going to realize you're Luke Skywalker or Captain America or Tony Stark,
Mhm.
but like like they're not going to appreciate you as other things.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like you look back at all of the different types of movies that Robin Williams was in. And like, yes, he started as doing a lot of comedic things, but then we've also seen him he showed through those that he was able to do more serious roles. He was able to,
Yeah, I think Robin
and
Williams
then
is an
able to do
interesting
things like
case because with him it's there was always and Jim Carrey's kind of the has the same had the same issue where it wasn't necessarily like it was almost as if there were parts created for them where it
mhm,
was or that it was it wasn't necessarily that like they were acting to fit a part. It was they were just acting as themselves and they were like, well, we want to get Robin Williams for this and build the role around
so
him.
so you mean Genie in animated Aladdin?
That was 100%. Apparently, there were
Where they
30 hours
yeah.
of material that were developed with just Genie that they ended up scrapping for that film.
Yeah, which where they basically let Robin go. Just go play.
Yeah.
Have fun. Um, which I think is nice when you can have an actor that you can do that with, and that can constantly be able to do that. But I also think that it does put a lot of pressure on that actor to say, well, you know, just go and do. It's like, okay, like I have been given this bowl of things and I have to do something with it. I'm gonna do something fun, but like taking that stress of saying like I have to make this character basically instead of being given a little bit more motivation, I guess is the best way to put it. A little bit more developed characters, and I find that this is a lot with more comedic actors in comedic roles.
So I guess what I'm so I agree with the comedic part, and I
Yeah.
think you see this a lot with like people that come out of SNL.
Mhm.
Um, but it becomes um, it's it's typecasting, but it's typecasting because of who that person is, as opposed to typecasting of they had a breakout role and were recast a bunch of times as that same character. And so they're
Yeah.
known for that role, and people are afraid that that's all they're going to be known for. Whereas
Mhm.
if you just like if you play different characters, but you essentially end up playing the same role in every film,
Mhm.
um, then that's I think that's also where this would apply.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
or just the fear of typecasting, right?
Yeah.
Um, like I mean, if you take a look at like Melissa McCarthy, like it's she kind of has the same shtick, like in all the movies
Mhm.
that she has big roles in.
Mhm.
Uh, I'm trying to like Robin Williams had the same thing. Jim Carrey kind of had the same thing. Jim Carrey, I guess even more so because like I can't think of maybe outside of like the Truman Show that he
Cable guy.
really like. I think that was the only one for me that stands out as having a different take on a character, as aside from just over the top, like firing on all cylinders. Because like he was like that in The Mask. You know, he was like
Mhm.
that in The Grinch. He was certainly like that in Ace Ventura when he came on the scene. Liar,
Yep.
liar. What was it? The Cable Guy. Um,
I was gonna say, yeah, that had some weird moments in it, but it wasn't
uh,
really
um,
um
what is it? The one where he plays God. Um,
Bruce Almighty.
Bruce Almighty. Like it's all
Mhm.
kind of the same archetype of
Yeah.
just totally wild, out there, out of control,
Mhm.
silly kind of guy. The Riddler.
Yeah.
They all
Yeah,
have that
all of
same
those.
archetype.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
just that's what I'm thinking.
It's it's an interesting thing, and especially when, there are so many stories that are getting told, and so many stories that are so similar that are getting told sometimes. With all the different movies that we have coming out, it's getting interesting seeing new things. Um with new types of characters, if that makes sense. Um,
I mean, I don't know if we've ever actually had a Godzilla versus King Kong film
yeah,
before.
no, like that's kind of what I mean, and
Certainly
like,
been it's been a thing and it's been parodied before.
hmm
I love that. So Rugrats had a post this week where they posted clips from the episode where it was
of
Reptar
Reptar.
versus Torg, uh,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
or whatever that the knockoff character's name was, and it was like, oh, they did that, basically. Aha! I got
Hmm.
you. I see you, Rugrats. And the fact that when I immediately saw the post, I started hearing in my head uh, lines from that scene. Um, yeah, yep.
Yeah. No,
So
it's
yeah,
it's definitely. I'm looking forward to it. As I said, I love me some Valkyrie. Um, and
talk
so
about
I'm
Love
just
and Thunder. By the way, it just Courtney's jumping back to Thor: Love and
I'm
Thunder.
jumping back.
She's not
Yeah, I'm
talking about
I'm
Godzilla versus Kong.
I'm not. No. Um, no,
But
I am
yeah, no, I
jumping back
mean,
to Thor.
yeah, to see Valkyrie, see Korg,
Hmm.
see Sif, um, Jane Foster. You know, I
I'm
think it'll be a
wondering.
little weird not seeing Loki,
I have.
like actor Loki, but not
Yeah.
now. I would it would
That's the
be
thing that I'm interested in is the actor of them. Like, I'm wondering, are they just getting their big title, like, because they're such big names of the actors that they're being put in these credits already, or are they going to have a little bit bigger part?
oh no, I think it's just
Does
to
that
be a
make
meme.
sense? Yeah.
I think
I'm
it's
like,
just
is
I think it's just to be a meme and a publicity piece that they're
yeah.
releasing that info. Well, it's also like releasing cast list information like that just happens.
Oh yeah,
Um
no, I'm
and
just
that's
wondering if it's
typically public unless it's
yeah.
like being kept secret for some reason.
Yeah.
And like it's usually studios aren't reporting it. It's just they have it available and
Yeah.
people are and places like Hollywood Reporter reporting on it because you know
It's things in Hollywood that are
essentially
happening that they can report on.
yeah. Um I think it would be really interesting if there's some twist that ties into Loki,
Mhm.
the series, which is coming out this year, where then Loki somehow is able to return from
Mhm.
being dead. And he ends up being in the movie, and they're just keeping that under wraps
Hmm.
and not adding Tom Hiddleston to the cast
Yeah,
list.
not adding
Like
him onto the
basically
cast
until
list.
like if that's going to happen, until it's revealed that that's going to happen, and then
Mhm.
I mean I think that would be they go through the series, and like
And
if
then they
Loki
release him on the cast list.
if it's shown that Loki, like if they're going to do just a one season thing, Loki comes back into the continuity at the end of that season of Loki, and then like the next day they just drop, oh, Tom Hiddleston's going to be in Thor: Love and Thunder, and everybody goes wild. Ah,
Or there's like a because I know that they've done this in post-credit scenes for one of them or another, where it just says like X will be returning for
yeah.
X, Y, or Z. Um,
I mean, well, yeah. I mean, doing it in a stinger
yes, that's the word I was
would
looking
be
for.
great. I will note Marvel has been adding post season stinger, like post credit stingers at the end of their seasons for well, they did it for WandaVision. Um,
Okay,
I would assume that they're going to do it for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but I mean, we were only
2 episodes in so far as of
well,
today.
episode 3 is this week, and I think it's only a 6 episode mini series.
Oh, really?
It's supposed to be very short. Yeah.
Dude, I'll be able
And
to do that in a night.
yeah, yeah. And it's like it's
Like
not very
I haven't done any
complicated. It's
I
it's
haven't
kind of
done any
straight.
good proper binging.
Yeah.
I don't have
So,
any time. Hey Sean, we want to go on to a quest log so we can talk about how we don't have any time.
sure. Sure. Let's move on to Questlog. So, Courtney, what
Yeah.
have you been doing with all of the time that you don't have?
I have sold my soul to my school
Okay.
for the next
So
5 months.
all right. So
But I am
what
excited.
is your new goal for the week?
Yes. So literally just this morning, my boyfriend sent me down my copy of Candlekeep Mysteries, and it's the alternate cover and it's really, really pretty. Um and my goal is to read through at least one adventure in that book in this next week. Because eventually, uh sometime either Labor Day weekend or the weekend after, I'm going to be running one of the one shots in there, all of us, because I'm gonna get it done. I'm gonna schedule it, guys. We're gonna do it. We're all gonna
Okay.
just play together, and I'm gonna run it because yes. um, yeah, I'm very excited actually to be able to have that to read through a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, so I'd like to be able to read through one adventure, because it's I figure over the next, what is it? It's 12 adventures or something. I think I could do that over the next 12 weeks.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I
I
have
mean,
only read through. I did basically a speed read of like one of the higher level adventures, and
mhm.
then a cursory read, just little bits here and there of the adventure that Daniel Kwan wrote, um, who is one of the core members of the Asians Represent podcast. And so it was kind of how to do, um, quote unquote Asian storytelling in
Mhm.
D&D and do it right.
I was gonna say how to do it correctly.
How to do it correctly. Um, and uh, and using stuff that's like in the player's handbook. So like using the monk and
Mhm.
focusing on that. And embellishing on that stuff, but not doing it in a way that's you know, say a
Offensive.
bunch of white dudes out in Washington State.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
But yeah, so I'm very excited that I finally got it down here, and it is something that I would like to slowly, one tiny adventure at a time, because I know if I try and do more, I'm gonna just explode, and I can't afford to explode right now. So it is a very Courtney's
one
mental
usually
health.
can never afford to explode, Courtney. It tends to
Everybody,
be very messy.
just all listeners, Sean, my mental health is on a very, very thin line these days. uh I'm trying. I have 5 months left. I can do it. I love you all. I apologize now.
That's only 20 weeks.
Uh-huh. I'm barely able to go one day at a time right now, so
That's only as many weeks as there are sides on a single D20. So
oh,
therefore
so I
that's
can take
manageable.
so wait, I can take one of my chunks, one of my big
Yeah, and you can just
D20s,
use it as a counter
and I
on
can just use
Sundays.
it as a
Yeah. There you go.
that would actually help.
There you go. You can put your overly large collection of D20s to use.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
Moving on. So for my goals, I only completed one. I did get a comic recolored this week.
Nice.
I too have a lot of personal stuff going on. It's been a very stressful week
Oh yeah.
with all sorts of stuff.
Hmm.
So I didn't do an item icon. I've thrown out the trying to get the turtle spirit form in Warcraft. I also haven't been playing much Warcraft the past couple of weeks. Just being on vacation, other games coming out. And the fact that I'm just afraid every time I log in, my guildmates are going to try and jump me uh, and try and take me into mythic dungeons to use abilities that I hate. That I had to redo
Oh.
all of my gear for mythic dungeons to suit a playstyle that I don't enjoy. Um,
Yeah.
so Josh says less dice is better because you can better concentrate your energy into them. Counter argument, Courtney has split her soul 67 different ways into various and Courtney logged off. One of her dice must have cracked, and therefore she had a blip in existence. Um,
Yeah.
so much like the Dark Lord Voldemort, Courtney has split her soul amongst all of her different dice, and therefore you have to destroy all of them in order to take her out, instead of just a small set. Uh,
Hmm.
all right,
It's
so
it's through all my D20s, every single one of
um,
them. Good luck finding them all.
I was going to set a goal for this week of reclaiming or rebuilding my boat in Valheim, because I was playing the other day, my game crashed while I was sailing. I respawned back at my home base, uh, but my boat didn't, and was just left out somewhere in the world. And I had to go back and look at like what areas of the map were uh, like revealed.
Discovered.
Yeah, to see where it might be. And even then, it
Hmm.
wasn't a guarantee because boats are destroyable. Um, and like, I mean, it's something as simple as like during a storm, you get storm surges, which can cause water to like in real life. Storm surges water will rise up above areas where there's not supposed to be any water, and instantly it will dramatically lower back down, and your boat gets smashed on rocks and stuff and will cause damage to the boat. So like even if there's no enemies nearby, just from like rising tide or storm surges, your boat can get destroyed. um that said, friend of the podcast, Heather, Recordian, um, rounded up a posse of her friends and joined up, and we got my boat back.
I was
Um,
gonna say, yeah, were you guys able to? Because I know you were doing that.
we
I knew
did. We
you
actually
were
found it.
round.
We didn't have to
Nice.
rebuild it. We found it. And they gave me a better boat too, on
Oh,
top of
that
like
was
a whole bunch
very
of other stuff.
nice.
So shout out to all of them. Thank you very much. I don't have to include that on my list of goals. So instead, it's just gonna be I'm gonna color a comic, and I'm going to finish a draft of a realm spotlight for the Wyldlands for patrons.
Yeah.
Um, so the Wyldlands are interesting in that they're there's not a lot of permanent communities in that it's largely uninhabited region. That there are a few, since we're doing this from
Nomadic.
like a modern perspective, there are a few sort of ecological research bases there. Um,
Mm.
to study like jungle flora and fauna and everything. There
Mhm.
are a few indigenous communities of just people that are native to that region, and there are a few like as camps of survivors from people that like their boat crashed. They're like on another side of a continent. There's not really great tracking or
Yeah.
whatever. So they're just like lost in the jungle. Or the prairie, or sort of the savannah there, or
Mhm.
the Badlands. So it encompasses like a multi-region, and it takes like a whole southern chunk of the continent. Um,
It has multiple biomes.
because there's dangerous critters there, and that's why people have been like, well, we kind of have the resources we want. We don't really know what resources are there. Uh, and it's dangerous, so we're not going to expand. Um, there.
Yeah,
And that's one
fair.
of the themes is like there's not really a lot of colonization in Jamora because like it's kind of when you have access to magical resources, and the areas that you're already in have pretty plentiful resources, especially with the aid of magic. You
Yeah.
don't necessarily need to
You don't
expand
need to spread
outward,
out.
um, except for like political gain. But I don't know if, say, you're uh, an immortal lich who uses a combination of illusion and transmutation magic to appear young forever, and just constantly changes their name so that people think you're a succession of emperors. um maybe that's something that's not really of interest to you because you've got more interesting things going on. Or
You've got time.
say that you're the admiral of a navy who has nothing that they want to do with politics and are just there because they have to be in charge. Um, yeah, yeah. So, uh,
I'm
so I'm gonna
excited
finish
to
that
read
up
that.
and get that posted for $2 patrons. Um, and if I have time, I'm gonna work on more holy symbols for deities. So I know I posted those
Yes.
publicly recently. Those will go to patrons first, and then they will be unlocked. And then I'll post them later on social media and stuff. So, um, yeah, and that's kind of it. I'm trying to keep things. I don't realistically know how many goals I'm going to get done, so I'm trying to not overextend. Um,
Mhm. That is fair.
so, for
From the person
programming
who has
notes,
one goal, you know?
programming notes. So this weekend, because it is Easter, and my family celebrates Easter, there will not be game streams on Saturday and Sunday. There will be a stream on Friday, so it'll be Monster Hunter. Um, and um, there will I will try to have a comic done ahead of time so that it is ready to go Monday morning.
Oh,
Um,
hearing weird
outside of
noises
that,
outside my house.
okay. So outside of that, schedule's fine. Within the next coming weeks, uh, the Friday game schedules are going to move to Tuesday. And there will be no stream on Fridays. This is to accommodate Dungeons and Dragons, um, as well as just having a sort of weekend night in which either my wife and I can relax uh, and just chill, um, or if we want to do something semi-social, since more and more people out here are getting vaccinated.
Mhm.
So that's just also it seems to be a bad night for. Um, I don't want to use the term small streamer. I'm okay with using the term because then it becomes a pun because I myself am small. Uh, but yeah, it seems to be a popular night for streaming. So if you're trying to grow
Yeah.
a community, it seems a little difficult to try and sort of
Bust
mosh pit your way into the
into.
space.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, so it'll be on Tuesday nights instead. Same time, 9 p.m. Just because I have parental duties that I need to be on top of.
Mhm.
Um,
Yep.
but yeah, so then that way it gives us two blocks, basically a weekend block of streams and then a midweek block of streams.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
yeah. All
I'm
right,
excited. I'm
that
excited.
is going to wrap things up. So thank you all for joining us this week. I know we went on a wild tangent, so I know what the thumbnail and the title of this week's episode is going to be. It's going to be Thor: Love and Thunder related. Um, So, if you want to see more content from 8-Bit Adventures, be sure to check out 8-bitadventures.com. Let's see. Is that nope, that's not a thing. I have to look up what some of my Nightbot commands are because there's some website thing in there. But anyway, um, if you want to help support
Mhm.
that content, you can become a patron at patreon.com/8bitadventures. So I alluded earlier, $2 patrons get access to behind the scenes Tales of Jamora stuff. All patrons get access to the 8-Bit Adventures comic early. Um, and all patrons also get a discount on merch. So
Mhm.
that's a cool thing. Lastly, our opening theme is One Up by Professor Shy Guy. You can find his work over at professorshyguy.bandcamp.com. And with that, we're all finished.
Mm.
So, uh, hope you all are staying safe out there. Hope you all are doing okay. Please take care of yourselves. Please
Yes.
have a good weekend and a good
Yes.
rest of your week.
Yes.
Um,
My mental health maybe that about that wide, but I'm trying my best to do self-care and you should too,
yep,
you know.
self care is very
Even if
important.
it's one even if
Keep
it's
doing
one
it.
little thing,
Yeah.
you got to one step at a time, people, we can make it through this.
Yep.
Promise.
Um, and as always, have fun, everyone. Happy gaming, and enjoy your pie cake.
Bye everybody.